Strip away the fantasy. Cheating doesn't strike like lightning. Instead, it drifts in like smoke slipping through a cracked window. Slow, silent, but deadly. By the time you catch on, it's already inside your lungs. What people rarely admit is this: when a woman cheats, she never does so cleanly. She leaves traces behind. On your routines, on your peace of mind, in your gut. Most men overlook these signs. They brush them off, explain them away. But deep down, you saw it. You just didn't want it to be real. This isn't a video about paranoia. It's a reflection on patterns. If you've ever felt that dull, numbing ache, that tightness across your chest whispering she's slipping, then this one's for you. Let's walk through the signs. Sign number 1. She disconnects, but the smile remains. She doesn't walk away, she stays, and that's what makes it so hard to read. You still see her every day. She says good morning, but doesn't lift her eyes. You ask her how she's doing and she says, I'm fine, like it's muscle memory, not truth. But there's a shift, quiet, subtle. Stoic men feel it first. She's there, but not truly present. Her laughter, once alive and shared, now feels rehearsed. Eye contact becomes fleeting, guarded, hollow. You crack a joke, and she smiles, but not with her body, not with the joy that used to light her up in your presence. It's the kind of smile you'd offer a stranger in an elevator. She'll say she's just tired, that work's been hard, that she needs space. But those words aren't meant to build closeness. They're meant to buy time. And deep down, not because you're emotional, but because you're perceptive. A stoic man doesn't dismiss patterns just because they're hard to face. He watches without needing hard proof. He listens past the surface. And what you're picking up on is this: she's already begun to detach. Not loudly, not with screaming or suitcases, but with a performance that replaces presence. When a woman starts spending her emotional energy elsewhere, she has to ration what little remains. And what's left for you? Just enough to keep things normal, just enough to avoid your questions, just enough to stop you from leaving first. But you're not crazy. You're not insecure. What you're witnessing is the slow erosion of intimacy. And if you stay silent about it, you'll start fading, not from her life, but from your own self-worth. Emotional betrayal doesn't start with lies. It begins with the slow death of honesty. Sign number 2. She begins to hide, right in front of you. No slamming doors, no shouting, just a selective silence. You used to know everything, even the smallest, forgettable details. The annoying coworker, the strange dream, what she had for lunch. But now her life has compartments, and you're no longer welcome in all of them. She still talks, yes, but only when it's convenient, only when the story is safe, only when it fits the version of herself she wants you to see. That's the first shift. The second is her phone. Once just a forgotten object on the table, now it's always in her grip, face down, silenced, turned away when she types. You didn't ask for her password. You didn't accuse her of anything. Yet somehow she's already on the defense. Ask one question and she calls you paranoid, insecure, too controlling. But a stoic man knows, truth doesn't hide from being observed. If something's genuine, it doesn't need armor. If love is honest, it doesn't need the excuse of privacy. Because when someone values peace, they don't plant doubt and then blame you for watering it. This isn't about control, it's about contrast. The contrast between who she used to be, open, expressive, transparent, and who she's becoming now, guarded, vague, selective. That's not growth, that's concealment, and concealment always has a reason. Cheating doesn't start with a kiss. It begins with the quiet removal of access. One missing detail, one shift, one locked door in a house you used to walk through freely. And here's the cruel part. She wants you to question yourself, not her. Because as long as you keep doubting your own instincts, she doesn't have to explain a thing. But the stoic man doesn't chase proof. He observes patterns. And when someone starts living 2 lives, you're not imagining it. You're just no longer invited into the second one. Sign number 3. Her body stays, but the intimacy doesn't. You still share a bed, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. The warmth is gone. The rhythm between you is off. Something invisible now lives between your bodies, a wall. Some nights, she turns away without a word. Other nights, she initiates, but it feels exaggerated, too intense, too performative, like she's either proving something or hiding something. And you're left wondering what's worse, the silence that makes you feel unwanted or the passion that doesn't feel like it's meant for you. Here's what most men don't want to face. When a woman is cheating, emotionally or physically, her intimacy with you always changes. Sometimes it disappears, sometimes it morphs, but it never stays the same. Because real intimacy isn't about frequency, it's about presence. And when that presence is no longer rooted in love, you'll feel it in your bones, in your gut, in the stillness after. It feels like kissing a ghost, like your body is being borrowed, not cherished. And when you ask her about it, she says, "You're imagining things. I'm just tired. You're too sensitive." But you're not. You're simply noticing. Because sex, when real, is a language. And right now, that language has changed. It's no longer fluent. It's mechanical, foreign. And here's the reality a grounded man accepts. A woman can't share her body with you while her soul belongs elsewhere. And the more you pretend it's still the same, the more you betray your own instincts just to protect her comfort. But a rational man doesn't lie to himself. He sees the signs, he respects them, and more importantly, he acts. Because when the fire goes out, you don't blame the smoke, you check who lit a match somewhere else. Sign number 4. She starts arguments that don't make sense. You forget to text her back, and suddenly she claims you don't care. You leave a dish in the sink, and now you never listen. You give a simple answer, and now your tone is up for debate. At first you try to fix it. You apologize for things that don't make sense. You replay conversations in your head, wondering what you missed. But deep down, you know it's not about the text. It's not about the dish. It's not about your tone. It's displacement. She's not arguing with you. She's fighting her own guilt. Because once a woman crosses that emotional boundary, or is thinking about it, she needs distance. And distance often disguises itself as conflict. In her mind, if you're the problem, then she's not the villain. If you're cold, distant, too much, not enough, then stepping out isn't betrayal, it's self-care. Here's what makes this dangerous. She convinces herself first, and then she tries to convince you. And if you don't see through it, you'll end up defending yourself in a battle you didn't start. You'll try to fix something that wasn't broken. You'll walk on eggshells in a home you helped build. You'll shrink to fit into a version of yourself she's made up, just so her departure seems justified. But a stoic man doesn't fall for the performance. He sees the conflict for what it is. Not communication, but camouflage. A diversion tactic to shift the spotlight from her choices to your flaws. Real or imagined. Because if she paints herself as the hurt one, then whatever comes next doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like freedom. But you weren't made to carry someone else's guilt. And you don't argue with someone who's already written you as the villain in their redemption arc. You observe, you detach, and you protect your peace. Because when conflict becomes a weapon to excuse disloyalty, the goal isn't to win the argument, it's to leave the game. Sign number 5. Her future no longer includes you. This is the sign that doesn't shout. It whispers. No big fights. No dramatic cold shoulders. Just subtle edits to the life she once imagined with you. She used to say, "When we get a place together." Now it's, "I've been thinking of moving." She used to dream aloud with your name in every plan. Trips, growth, building a life. Now she talks about healing, evolving, and discovering, but always solo. Quietly, your name has disappeared from her vision. Not because of something you did, but because she's already halfway out the door in her mind. And here's what breaks most men. She doesn't ask you to leave. She just makes sure you no longer feel at home. No more shared plans. Just space. Space she won't let you into. And when you ask about it, she tells you you're overreacting. That you're insecure. That you're reading too much into it. But a stoic man knows, people don't fantasize about leaving unless they've already started to go. First emotionally, then mentally, then physically. By the time she says, "I need time," it's not a request, it's a countdown. And every day you stay hoping for warmth, she's adjusting to the cold. That's why her hugs feel robotic. That's why her eyes avoid yours. That's why your presence feels tolerated, not treasured. And here's the hardest part. She's not confused. She's rehearsing. She's removing you from her future before she removes herself from your present. And if you refuse to acknowledge her exit plan, you'll end up haunting a relationship that's already over. But a grounded man doesn't beg. He doesn't chase. And he doesn't sit in a room where he's being silently evicted. Because dignity doesn't scream. It walks away while the other person still thinks they're the one in control. Let's be clear, cheating doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the silence, in the questions left unanswered, in the smiles that never reach her eyes, in the "I'm fine" that clearly isn't. It begins the moment she starts rationing affection, and you start telling yourself it's enough. A woman doesn't cheat the moment she's with another man. She cheats the moment she disconnects from you and decides not to return. The signs were always there. You just kept calling them phases. But a stoic man doesn't chase ghosts. He doesn't argue with energy that's already left, and he never begs for a seat at a table where he's no longer being served. Because once you trade your self-respect for someone's presence, you've already lost far more than a relationship. You've lost yourself. So here's the final truth. If she had to betray you in order to find herself, then she was never truly yours. If this resonated in your gut, if it cut through the fog you've been pretending not to see, then comment clarity. Because clarity isn't pain, it's freedom. And if you're done second-guessing your instincts, check out our other videos too. Because here, we don't chase shadows. We sharpen minds, and we never fear the truth. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.